Since then, the turbines, they started construction of July of 2008, July 21st it was, and it just worked out that wife and I was leaving on a camping trip that day, so I wasn't there when they broke ground, and I didn't know what kind of problems there'd be with some of the people, but everything seemed to work out good. The turbines, they, the summer of 2008 was dry in our area. The town roads held up real good. We had a road agreement in place with the wind company that they were responsible for any damage. Prior to construction, the engineer company came out and surveyed the roads, videotaped them, run a plane over all the roads to find out if there was any ruts in them, and measured it and documented everything. So once the project was done, we had something to go back with. The summer and fall was dry. They were pretty much all done other than the final erection of the last, well, probably 40, 50 turbines. Once it got cold weather and then the ground froze up and they finished up with frozen ground. They went online in March of 2009, March 11th. All our power lines are under the ground. They had to be buried 42 inches deep. First we talked of putting them in conduit, and then our engineering firm said that they understood there was problems where they had buried them and put them in conduit, that sand was better. So we relaxed our part of the law and let them bury them in sand. They couldn't dig up any roads. They had to bore under all roads, streams, diversion ditches, repair all land tile. Any drainage ditches or natural waterways that farmers had, they had to restore them back to the original condition that they were when they first started. And which they did. All the excess roads was, they used #2 crusher run stone. They dug out 30 inches to 4 foot, put down matting, and then they filled it with stone, 32 foot wide. And and all the turnoffs off of town, county, or state highways, they had to widen them out, the culverts, to 94 foot. In our law, that her host agreement, we spec that we get all the stone and culverts back from those where they had to widen the roads out, because they would narrow them up once they were done to 21 feet. And so they agreed to that. Once they got done with the project and started narrowing up the access roads and the access from the town or county roads and state highways, they delivered 45,000 ton of stone to one of our town roads. We built it up about a little over 2 miles of better than a foot of stone, and they brought rollers in to compact it and everything during the process. They trucked it off for us. The culvert pipe, we ended up, it was all plastic pipe, anywhere from 12-inch to 24-inch culvert pipe. They delivered all that at our town hall. Last year, 2009, we ended up with our buyout and host agreement. We got $788,953.64. This year, we've got $805,732.71 came to the town. I know the Attica School District just got a check for almost $100,000. I think it was $97,000, $98,000, and the other school district was around $11,000. The county got a check of $56,000, and then once the pilot was started through the IDA, there's a fee that the wind project has to pay the IDA between the 3 projects in Wyoming County, the town of Eagle, town of Weathersfield. Those are both noble projects, and ours in the town of Sheldon, which is an Invenergy project. Our IDA was running on a line of credit from the Board of Supervisors. Now they're sitting on about $7 million that they're using for microloans, and most of it's microloans, loans that they're loaning to small businesses and businesses that are, trying to expand and put on more employees. So it's helped, pretty much everybody in the county. Uh, we had, a lot of people that was opposed to the projects that, you know, they had to have a deputy at all our town board meetings, and there was a number of nights they had TV cameras there. They enticed Tom Golisano to come twice to speak at public hearings, and he, first he was opposed to wind projects, then he realized there was some money to be made in it, and then he started developing his own company to build wind turbines, but I don't think it ever got off the ground very far. One particular night, Mr. Golisano had spoke at a public hearing, and then the hearing was pretty much done ahead of time, and I asked if anybody wanted to come back and speak the second time. Still had the same perimeter. They had 3 minutes to speak, and excuse me. Tom, the second time he came back up to the podium, he talked a couple of minutes and kind of settled right in and crossed his legs and leaned up against the podium like he was going to talk all night. I waited till his 3 minutes was up, and I said, Tom, your time's up. He didn't hesitate or flinch or anything. So all at once I hammered the gavel down on the table, and I said, Tom, you're all done. And he jumped about 2 inches off the floor, and he turned around and looked at me, and he says, boy, you sure don't show a lot of courtesy to your invited guest. And I said, Tom, nobody invited you. You came on your own. So, but it's been, since the project is up and running, we were sued 5 times during the seeker process, and when the turbines were being built, and then we won all 5 lawsuits. Then they appealed them, went to Rochester to the Court of Appeal, and that went before a panel of 5 judges, and there was a head judge and 4 other judges, and you could just tell by their body language how they were going to rule. They had up to 60 days to rule. In less than a week, we had a decision in our favor. So they sued us for, the first lawsuit was a neighbor of mine that I grew up with has a large dairy farm. He owns 1,600 acres in our town. Him and I married sisters, so they right away said it was a conflict of interest that I was looking out for my brother-in-law. So they sued us for that. We went to county court. Both attorneys did their opening statement, and the judge ruled it, read right out of the dictionary, the definition of a brother-in-law, it has to be a blood relative, one way or the other. And by us marrying sisters, it was not a blood relative, so he ruled in the town's favor. The next time it was we were sued because it was going to destroy people's view or vista of the countryside, and that was in Buffalo, and the judge ruled in our favor there. And they sued us for property values, that we was going to decrease everybody's property values, and we won that lawsuit. And we were sued for, excuse me, pretty much anything that they could think of, but the lawyer kept talking to these people and telling them what they wanted to hear, and just taking their money all the time. So it's been a real experience, I tell you, going through a wind project, but it's sure been worth it now. It's excuse me, all the people in the town that was opposed to it, now some of them came back and apologized and told me I'm doing a heck of a job. And so I guess now that there's no town taxes, everybody's happy. And the town's been real fortunate. We've buy a new Peterbilt snowplow every 3 years. We just ordered one last week. We've built an addition, or in the process of building an addition onto our highway garage, a 50 by 70 foot addition. And so it's been, really beneficial to the town. We've been debt free for a number of years, and hope to stay that way for a number of years now. So the seeker process, The people that's for the project think it's never going to end, it's going to drag on forever. And then, there's people that feel, that there's always hope that they're going to find something that they can't build a project. But the engineering company we had seemed to do one heck of a job. They were real good people to work with. We had our town attorney is to represent the town, and then Invenergy had Dan Spitzer out of Buffalo, and Dan was real good to work with. I think he looked out for us as much as he did the wind project, because, if I had a problem, I called him up a couple times and asked him, and he'd say, well, off the record, I'm going to tell you this or that. And everything's worked out. Invenergy's payment, what we did is I went to money in the bank before we had to adopt the budget in November. So we have to have our payment, host agreement payment has to be in our bank the first day of November. Both 2008 and 2009, we received it on the 31st of October. 2010, we received it on the 29th of October, which is a Friday before. And the payments have been good, and it's worked out real well for the town. It's probably one of the best things that's happened to the town. One of the things that a lot of the people wanted, or that was opposed to the project, wanted a referendum. New York state law dictates that you cannot have a referendum on a wind project. It's up to the town board's decision after they do the seeker and everything, and it sure would have been a lot easier if we could have had a referendum, but I went through 3 elections during the process and won all 3 elections, so apparently that was a referendum enough, I guess. It's